Try this again. Hey, 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 welcome into another episode of Out of Bounds. This is the Week 12 recap and highlight show. We're going to get into all stuff NFL. First, I'm your host, Toddfox, along with the other host of the show,
Carlos.
aka Rick Davis, as we check in.
Rich.
As we check in on a Week 12 recap and highlight show. Like I said, let's give out the records on how we've been doing so far because we've been kicking ass.
Oh yeah, if you don't believe me, man, you guys, if you honestly think I'm making these records up, you've been missing out on everything that we've brought to you, brought to this channel and this platform. But right now, Randy, he joined us late, so his record is still really good, but doesn't amount to like the wins and losses that me and you have. But right now, Randy is currently sitting at 74 wins, 42 losses, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with mine next because I don't have as many wins as you do, Todd. My record is 103 and 77 with one tie. That's crazy. That's almost 30 games above 500. And then your record, Todd, is 108 and 108 wins, 72 losses, and one tie. You're over 30 games 500. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, we're considering the way we started in the first 4 weeks, it was really good. We'd actually have, I think, we probably would have 20 less losses had we been able to predict some of those incredible games in the beginning of the season that were just all over the place. We'd probably be sitting at about 50 games over right now. So I feel pretty good, man. Feel kind of cocky.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident in myself too, especially with the playoffs coming around. Getting that much closer is going to make it a little bit more interesting to see who comes out on top with the best record. But as long as we're kicking ass, it doesn't matter, bro.
Exactly. So let's just check it out, man. Let's see what happens here. You want to get into some of these games? Let's do it. This was a special week, obviously, because it's week 12. It is Thanksgiving. So we had 3 games on Thanksgiving Day, and, they kind of lived up to the hype, and most of them, or at least 2 of the 3, lived up to the hype. Let's get to the first one. And usually this is traditionally, you could just automatically chalk up a loss in this one for the Detroit Lions. But Detroit showed you something. They were coming off a 3-game winning streak to where they improved their record to 4-6, and they were coming up against the Buffalo Bills, who were 7-3. But the Bills had to fight, scratch, and kick and claw to win this game, as the Bills scored a late field goal to win it 28-25. Josh Allen went 24 of 42, 253, 2 touchdowns and a pick. He had 10 rushes for 78 yards on the ground. We didn't predict him to run that as much, but he did anyway. He outrushed Singletary. Isaiah McKenzie led the team with 6 catches for 96 yards. Jared Goff was 23 of 37, 240, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Another solid game for him. Jamal Williams, 18 carries, 66 yards. And St. Brown, 9 catches for 122 and a loss. But thoughts on this game? Detroit playing very inspired football.
Yep, they're playing really really good football. They almost had the Buffalo Bills, but almost doesn't count. It was just crazy to think that it was just crazy to see that the Buffalo Bills got in this type of game with the Detroit Lions. Are the Lions as good as advertised lately, like the last month that they've had, or are the Buffalo Bills starting to come back down to earth a little bit after a year and a half of them dominating in the AFC? That's my question right there. How did you feel about the game?
It's a little weird because Detroit or Buffalo has been struggling against some mediocre teams, but they've been playing really good against some spectacular teams. But they've got the talent to get there. They're once Von Miller comes back, that's going to help them. But Detroit gave them everything they could handle on a short week, and they at the end of the day they still get the W. They still move on. But I'm more impressed with Detroit. I'm a little disappointed in Buffalo, but I'm more impressed with Detroit. They moved the football against a very difficult defense. Their defense, which was very suspect and very terrible, probably one of the worst defenses in football in the first half of the season, they've improved week after week, and they're hard-hitting now. Teams are getting frustrated because they're playing physical. I think they finally have bought into their coach's Campbell, his message. And I think next year is going to be the year to see, do they make that turn to get to 500 or to the playoffs?
Another thing to point out, I agree with everything that you just said. Nothing to argue on that one, but we also got to point out that Von Miller also got banged up and he's going to be out for a few weeks. So that's going to be big time for the Buffalo Bills moving forward. They won't be able to generate the same type of pass rush, and they might actually put the Buffalo Bills in a tough spot where they might be in the wild card instead of winning their division.
Exactly, exactly. So this was a good learning experience, I think, for the Lions, and I think Detroit fans were pumped up. It was good to see that there was a game that actually had meaning in the fourth quarter because, this game usually is a wash. I was out playing Turkey Bowl football, and I got back for the final few minutes of the game because I thought it was going to be a blowout. So it was good to see Detroit fans in it, and at least they have something to celebrate, right?
Yeah, they definitely got something to celebrate. I'm not sure who's next on their schedule, but things are looking pretty good for Detroit.
Exactly. That'll move us on to the second game of Thursday Thanksgiving tradition, which one tradition's in Detroit, the other one's in Dallas. Dallas, this was a fight for second place because right now no one was going to catch Philadelphia no matter what they did on Monday night or Sunday night. Sorry, you had the Dallas Cowboys who were tied with the Giants at 7-3. Both teams fighting again for second place. Daniel Jones, 21 of 35, 228 and a touchdown. Saquon Barkley was held to just 39 yards. Darius Slayton was 3 for 63 over the air. The Cowboys stats, whereas this, Dak Prescott, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 21 of 30, 261 throwing. Those 2 picks, man. I want your thoughts on Dak when I'm done right now, and also I want your thoughts on Daniel Jones. Ezekiel Elliott and Pollard were the 1-2 punch, 16 for 92 for the Ewok. Tony Pollard trying to get that money. He went 18 for 60. And then also CeeDee Lamb had a nice game, 6 catches, 106. Dallas wins 28-20. Thoughts on this game? And first off, is Dak your boy to get this team deep in the playoffs, number one? And number two, is Daniel Jones a Giant next year?
I think that to answer that last question, yeah, he almost has to be a Giant. The Giants would be dumb to let him go. I think you signed him to a decent deal, like a 1 year prove-it deal, and have Daniel Jones do it one more time. And if he does do pretty decent, then you sign him to a long-term deal. Because you don't want to let somebody like that go. He'll be really good. He'll be a hot commodity, especially with the way that he played this year. But Dak Prescott, bro, like I think that he can get it done, but they just got to protect him like they did against the Vikings. When in the game against the Vikings, they didn't want to expose Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott took all the checkdowns. It was something that caught my eye. And then I was like watching the Thanksgiving game. Dak Prescott, like he was kind of exposed a little bit because throwing those ugly interceptions and doing that type of deal is just a bad look for a team that's trying to win the Super Bowl, bro. I think that they've got everything except Dak Prescott. I think that Dak Prescott's going to end up holding them back, bro. It just feels like the team, that Dallas Cowboys team that we saw on Thursday versus a team against Minnesota is like basically like a 180. It looks like the game that they had against Minnesota, like they had something to prove because they were going into a hostile environment, a team that was damn near could have gotten the number 1 seed had they not lost that game. And what you call it, they were just had something to prove because they were getting overlooked, and they probably used that as a stepping stone against Minnesota. We hit, just Minnesota was just coming off of an emotional win, but yeah, that I don't trust Dak Prescott in the playoffs, bro. I think that they might be, as long as they can protect them, and Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott can get the job done. Yeah, Dak Prescott fits the system.
Okay.
If you rely on Dak Prescott to throw like 40 times a game, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, right now they're getting the run game, and the defense has been fairly good. Dallas did a good job of staying ahead. My only reason why I asked you about Daniel Jones on one hand is because I wanted to get your feeling, because to me he reminds me of a poor man's Matt Hasselbeck and a Ryan Tannehill. They're good quarterbacks to get you W's during the regular season. Moving into the postseason, they're not a guy who's going to make that comeback drive, that 2-minute drill. When you're down 10 points, it's like game over. I never had faith in Hasselbeck to bring us back. He wasn't that type of dude. He could hold a lead. He can get the lead back, but he could never have a 2-minute drill, never rally you from like 15 down. He wasn't that guy. And I think Tannehill's the same guy, and I think Daniel Jones is the same thing. I think he's a glorified game manager. He makes some moves here and there. But do you agree with that? I mean, do you think Daniel Jones is that guy for the Giants? Because, I mean, there might be another option out there.
I think that they got to keep Daniel Jones, man. Honestly, he's shown that he can be pretty decent. He doesn't really have anything out there at wide receiver or tight end. I can't name you outside of Darius Slayton. I really can't name. I'm pretty sure there's other wide receivers that other people can name. But he's really doing much. He's doing a lot with nothing. So I do think that they should definitely keep him and draft another quarterback. So that way, when the heat and the pressure's on, we'll see the true colors of Daniel Jones next year.
All right, fair
But
enough.
I think everybody and their mama can, everybody that's going to hear this show from here to who knows when. I think we can all agree on the statement that Giants aren't going anywhere this year with the team that they've got.
Exactly. Although that division is very fun. We'll get more into that as we end the show. Moving on now, this was the Sunday night or Thursday night game. Sorry, the New England Patriots were 6-4. They went into Minnesota Skull Zone, coming off a very difficult loss, worst loss of the year, 8-2. But the Vikings turned things around against probably one of the best, if not the best, defenses in the league, the New England Patriots. And there's one guy who will just, I'll talk about here in a second that just, I'm going to let you rant on it. It's your team. But Mac Jones had the best game of his season, I think maybe his career. 28 of 39, 382, 2 touchdowns, no picks. They were kind of robbed of a touchdown late. We'll talk about that. Devontae Parker, 4 for 80. Ramon Stevenson, 7 for 36 on the ground. The Vikings, though, had Kirk Cousins, 30 of 37. That's very efficient. 299, 3 touchdowns, and a tip pick. So I'm not even going to count that as a real pick. Dalvin Cook, 22 for 42. He was shut down. But the best player, probably top 3 in football, let's see if you agree. Put your bias to the side. Justin Jefferson. My God, what a beast as a receiver. And he's not your Randy Moss type where he just out-physicals everybody. He just has that leap, that jump, that everything that you want to teach your wide receivers, route running. He's just amazing. 9 catches, 139 yards, and a touchdown. It feels like he should have had 18 and about 300. Vikings get the win, 33-26. Controversial plays in this game, but Justin Jefferson, bro, biased aside, is he the best receiver in football?
It's kind of hard to argue with that one right there. I think you get a little bit of everything, like everything that Tyreek Hill. The only thing that Tyreek Hill has over Justin Jefferson, well, Tyreek Hill is the fastest, honestly. But outside of him being fast, what does Tyreek Hill do? Like you just pitch the ball and it's easy for him to create plays. Justin Jefferson actually he has good feet work. He hasn't, knock on wood, he hasn't gotten hurt yet. He's still on his rookie contract. So, I mean, bro, that money that he's gonna get from Minnesota. Minnesota is not gonna. I don't know, bro. I don't know if Minnesota's gonna let him go or not. But wherever he lands that contract, it's gonna be lucrative. I would not be surprised if it's somewhere in the range of like I don't know something like quarterback type of money. But did you that Adam Thielen touchdown? Do you know what I'm talking about? The toe drag swag. Like I want to say the game winner actually they happened in the fourth quarter. That was the last touchdown Minnesota had. Justin Jefferson took like 3 or 4 defenders with him, and then Adam Thielen had like a backup corner or a safety just trailing on him, and it was easy. T.J. Hawkinson finally had a touchdown. He played really good. T.J. Hawkinson is slowly coming around the corner, and he's going to stay. He's really reliable, bro. I have my doubts about him, but then I saw a stat line where he's the second most targeted tight end in the NFL after Travis Kelce. And Travis Kelce's a big. You can't pass that dude up. He's number 1. He's like a wide receiver, but. That controversial play that you're talking about, that Hunter Henry, it confused me and everybody in the world because I thought that for me, I counted it as a touchdown. I was like, dude, that's a touchdown. Like, there's no way because as a football fan, you're always taught that as long as the ball crosses the pylon, nothing else matters after that, right? Like, nothing else matters. So it's like, even if just the tip, no, no, just the tip crosses the pylon or whatever you want to call it. What you call it? It should have been a touchdown. Do you agree?
Well, yeah, because it always starts with just a tip, and then you wind up pushing forward. Yeah. And then you're like, oh well, the tip's in, so might as well
go. That's all it takes, right? No, but seriously, like I don't know, it was so confusing. But then like they started breaking the play down, and they were like, did he make a football move? Like, and then I started looking, and I was like, man, this is so confusing. I was just like, I don't know. But for me, I counted it as a touchdown. I do believe that Patriots got robbed on that play, and that's I'm a Viking fan. I want the Vikings to win, but I feel like that was a bad call by the referees. And other things from that game, I think that Duke Shelley, the backup corner, he was on the practice squad. He started for us, played really good. Overall, I'm really satisfied with the team. Coming off that Dallas Cowboy loss, I really wasn't worried about that Cowboy loss. I don't know if I said it on the last show. But we needed that. We needed that loss against the Dallas Cowboys to kind of humble us down a little bit, and then we'll see what it's like when we come back against the Patriots. And I'm thankful for the way things played out. I'm happy all the way around with this team. And I really everybody's just playing really really good. And the only complaint I have, along with other Viking fans have, is our defense. Like we get shredded down the middle, like that zone coverage that what's his name, Ed
Yeah.
Donatel. He plays soft shell coverage, but Patrick Peterson, he said that he wishes that he would have been playing in this defense his entire career. So I don't know how to take that. Like we give up a whole bunch of yards, but Patrick Peterson, he's basically been an All Pro a few times in his career, and for him to say something like that, that's big. That's big time. So I don't know how to take it. I'm gonna just take it as we're in the right direction. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. And that's basically all I've got, man. I mean, I can sit here and go on about every single player, but I'll take way too much time. And I know there's more fans and Viking fans listening. So we'll just move on to the next one. Other than that, two thumbs up from from this Viking fan to the Vikings.
I'll just say this: the Vikings got the job done. There was a lot of plays where there was balls that were caught that, guy rolls over out of bounds, but the ball was moving. Like in my game that they called an incomplete. They got real technical. I mean, kudos on to them. I mean, it was the right call. It just sucks because it took away a couple good catches. It wasn't just our game and your game. And then I'm just gonna say last thing on the Vikings, 9-2, best in the NFC, in my opinion. Jefferson taking two guys with him and still making
3.
catches. Yeah, I mean it's amazing.
You
So
those catches, hold on, you made me see. I didn't want to say. I can sit here and talk all night and day about the Vikings, but that dude Justin Jefferson, you just lob it up to him, and if he's got a snip of a chance, he's coming down with that ball, man. Like it's amazing. I called him an alien, bro. He's not real.
yeah, he's super athletic. And again, if I would have been the tight end when I made that touchdown catch, I'm like, look, I got the tip in there. Let me put the whole thing in, and let's just have fun with it. Move on.
He is a big guy, so it's kind of scary when he gets in front of those referees, especially when he's talking about just the tip.
Yeah, exactly, bro. The tip. Uh, so let's move on to a Sunday game. Those were the Thanksgiving Day games. We're going to go to the Texans, who fall to 1-9-1, probably one of the best 1-9-1 teams out there. Defense is looking better and better every week, except this week. Miami had their way with them. They went 8. They go to 8-3. They are the best in the East, the AFC East. The Texans went with Kyle Allen. That is going to be the big problem for them moving on. Do they suffer with these kids one more year to see if one of them makes it to the starting role, or do they draft another quarterback? That's going to be the offseason for the Texans. They had David Ojibwa be their leading running back. I can't even pronounce that fucking name. Four carries for 14 yards, so I shouldn't even had to attempt. Jordan Atkins, 5 for 61, but Kyle Allen was 26 of 39, 215, a touchdown, and two big picks. Tui came out there, Tua, 22, 36, 299, and a touchdown. A ho-hum game for him. Jeffrey Wilson, 13 for 39, boring on the ground, but Tyreek Hill, 6 for 85. This game was never in doubt, 30-15. Not much to say on this one, right?
I had it on the red zone for the whole entire day until Sunday Night Football. But this game was interesting because the Dolphins were up 30-0. I want to say they were up 28-0, and here comes no, they were up. I don't know. I don't know. They were up like 30-0. I'm gonna just say it like that.
Yeah, it was 30-0.
Yeah, and then here comes Houston. I'm like, all right, they scored a touchdown. I didn't really think too much of it. And next thing you know, they're moving the ball, and there goes another interception by the Texans quarterback. I was like, damn, they can't get it right with these quarterbacks. Davis Mills costed them a game against the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday Night Football a few weeks ago. And now this game right here against the Dolphins, they could have easily made it a game had they scored just one more time and not thrown that ridiculous interception. But yeah, man. I mean, they're going to draft the quarterback. I don't think they're going to. They got to rely. They got to have Allen as the backup quarterback moving forward, and then Davis Mills. I've never seen him play, and just because of the way he looks, bro, he just looks like you can't take him serious. He's got that stupid giraffe neck, and he just looks like he doesn't belong in the NFL, bro. It's just like that dude. He's not threatening, bro. So. Yeah, he would be like a third string quarterback on the depth chart, and then I'd have Allen as the backup, and then the rookie as a starter, or Allen and the rookie battling for the starting job. That dude, Davis Mills is not it, bro. I don't like that guy.
He looks to me as what he is on the field, which is a backup. He doesn't look like anything better than a freaking backup. So I think moving on, you got a good backup quarterback in Mills, but you don't have a good starter. I don't have much to say other than that. You pretty much capped that one off for me. That'll move us on to the Cincinnati Bengals, Tennessee Titans. This was a rematch of last year's postseason game in Tennessee, where Cincinnati again shocked Tennessee to move on to the championship game when Tennessee thought they were big and bad last year. So it was Tennessee's chance to get redemption. Both teams came in at 6 and no, actually Tennessee came in at 7-3. Bengals came in at 6-4. The Bengals would finish the game off and win 20-16. They would improve to 7-4, dropping Tennessee to 7-4. Another punch in the gut to Tennessee Titan fans. They really wanted this game. Joe Burrow, though, said no. 22 of 37, 270 and a touchdown. Perrine rushed for 58 yards. T. Higgins had 7 catches for 114. Ryan Tannehill, 22 of 34, again, 291, no touchdowns, no picks. Derrick Henry shut down, and Derrick Henry was also your leading receiver, though, although he was shut down on the ground, so he still had over 100 yards. But ho-hum Titans take a loss at home again. No touchdown, Titans!
Dude, you know that one every single time. As far as this game goes, bro, like, I don't know. Tennessee kept it close, and I was hoping that Tennessee would win because I like their front seven. They got a nice little defense over there. Derrick Henry had that ridiculous fumble and then turn touchdown. That was a nice play. But yeah, man, it was a battle back and forth. I don't know. It's just I can't really think too much of it other than what's going on with Jamar Chase, bro. Like he's not really coming out to being a reliable receiver. He's already this is his second year. And he's already missing time. So I mean, going forward, what's they going to say for the team? You know, are they going to sign him long term when his contract comes up? I don't know. You take that chance on somebody that's already injured themselves. And then Mixon, he's also been a question mark. It doesn't look like the Cincinnati Bengals are going to strike that same magic from last year. I don't know. How do you feel about the Cincinnati Bengals striking up the same type of tune that they did last year? Do you think it's possible?
I think it's possible if the defense can shut down teams' running games like it has been. They're very underrated, very no-name-ish. And they get there, and the Bengals continue to get healthier on offense, dude. The sky's the limit. But my thing is, the only thing that could hold back the Bengals right now is their offensive line. If their offensive line can keep Burrow upright and not throwing into bad situations, not throwing faster than he has to, the Bengals are going to pick apart most defenses. So, again, I'll put them in my scary column for the playoffs, like a team to look out for. But if they fix that offensive line, dude, they're going to be one of those teams where I'm going to put them in the dark horse category.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they can get the job done, though. They can bang with any team. They can definitely put up a fight with anybody in the AFC.
Exactly. And that division probably could be theirs with some more key matchups down the stretch. So we'll see. I'm sorry, I have something in my throat. That's what she said. Speaking about having something in her throat, let's talk about the Broncos. The Broncos and Carolina Panthers had their fans saying this.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
And this. Hello?
I hear you.
Okay. So that was the theme for the Broncos, who now fall to 3-8. It's Broncos country, and let's ride as they continue to help the Seahawks with their next year's draft. The Carolina Panthers improved to 4-8 as they've had the worst season of all, getting rid of McCaffrey, going through 50 quarterbacks, firing their coach, all kinds of mess. But look alive, the Carolina Panthers are coming alive. Russell Wilson said, let's ride to 19 of 35, 142 yards and a touchdown. Latavius Murray, 13 carries for 92 yards on the ground. Why wasn't he getting the ball more? That's why I don't understand. Cortland Sutton, 6 for 75 through the air. Sam Darnold, probably one of the biggest heads in all of football, 11 for 19, 164, just a tip. Deontay Foreman, 113 on the ground. And DJ Moore with 103 through the air. But still, this game was not even close. Russell Wilson still has more bathrooms and touchdowns. Thoughts on the worst trade so far this year?
You just want to talk about Russell Wilson. Did you really want to talk about the Panthers? You want to talk about how bad Russell Wilson is playing. You can't even cover it up if you wanted to. Guilty pleasure.
It sure is.
Let's ride.
Let's ride, baby.
No, man, it was I didn't really watch much of this game. I'm gonna be honest with you. Even though like they flashed on the red zone, I saw that. What you would call it? I saw that Denver was giving up touchdowns. I was like, man, like it's so easy to predict this game. Now, it was so easy to predict that game because Denver's already got their skill positions already filled by players that are going to be there long term, and we know what type of team that is. That's why it made it so easy because Carolina's got a whole bunch of players that are trying to win spots, and they're going to go out there and actually play. Like they're actually going to give a damn about the game and winning and all that from here on out. So that's a scary team for all those the spoilers. They're going to be one of those teams where you don't want to play like week 16, week 15 or whatever because they'll sit there and they'll spoil your playoff chances because that team they're dying for it. Like all those players, they want to have their position, you know. Denver, they got all, like I said, all their skill position. We know what they're about, bro. It was so easy to see this game from a mile away. But the question is, with the season coming to a close, there's been rumors. Everybody's heard about the rumors. I mean, it's just a matter of time. Nathaniel Hackett, when is he going to get let go? Is Russell Wilson still going to be there next year? Is anybody going to trade for him? Who knows, bro? Like, it's just that team is just headed into a mysterious off season to say it. I don't know. That's the easiest way you can say it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have two questions here off the bat. When you talk about what happened with the Broncos offseason, they hired Hackett for Rodgers, and they had a deal together for Packers. Packers did not want to pull that trade for Rodgers, did not want to give up on him, felt that they had another run in them. They did not want Jordan Love. And now the Packers are kicking themselves in the ass. The Broncos are kicking themselves in the ass. And the Seahawks are the only one, my team out there, just loving each other and saying, what a great deal. You know, because, again, I was on – if you saw our pre-show for the season, I was under the impression of, fuck, we're going to have a long season. This is going to suck. I had no faith in our boy. And honestly, you know, he's performed better than expected. The team looks better. It's better team, better players, better offense, better defense, Papa John's. And that's from the trade. And it's only going to make this team even better moving on. Now, the Broncos, in my opinion, I don't know if they can fix Russell other than to give him another offensive coordinator that mimics the offense they had in Seattle with a coach that's going to have patience with him and give him the right amount of plays to open things up, like trust him a little bit. And then also keep him like there has to be a perfect balance, and I think Pete did that good with Russell. Whatever they're doing in Denver is wrong, and they look terrible. And there was a fight on or at least the defensive player yelling at Russell Wilson. So I mean, all Russell Wilson said back to him was "Let's ride." You know, I mean,
dude, Russell Wilson doesn't care. He's like, dude, I'm getting paid. I don't care. He's like you know, like how me and you used to say, I don't know, I just work here. I don't know, quarterback here.
He's like, what the fuck's going on with the offense? I don't know, man. I'm just the quarterback.
They told me to throw it to this guy. I threw it, but it got intercepted. I mean, what do you want me to do? That's what his response was.
Oh man, they're a mess, bro. A hot mess. So Denver's going to go into an off season of all kinds of crap. But again, they have one of the owners with the richest pockets, so I don't think they'll be down for too long.
No, well, I don't know. It's hard to say because look at all the moves that they made. They're going to have to definitely draft a running back because this is a team you could already start talking about what they're going to do in the offseason. I mean, since there's not much to that game. I mean, they lost to the Panthers. I think they're definitely going to have to draft a running back, like a skillful running back that could, like a Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara type of running back, to take the pressure off of Russell Wilson. And then I don't know what else they're missing though. I don't know what else they're missing. It feels like they got a stacked team. Is it the coach? I think it's the coach.
I think it is. And here's the thing. Here's the thing, man. I posted on my page, Russell Wilson, 2023 dead cap, $107 million, 2024, $85 million, 2025, $49, and 2026, $31.2.
It could be one of those where, like Daniel Jones, where, you know, it was just a bad coaching because we've seen Russell Wilson playing pretty good in Seattle. I think, honestly, it's just the coaching. They're going to have to do a coaching change. That's what it comes down to. Yeah,
because Russell only had 2 losing seasons in Seattle. And even in those 2 losing seasons, he didn't look this bad. I mean, he still threw touchdowns. He still was in the MVP race. He still was playing top notch. It was other parts of the ball that wasn't flowing. But man, it's weird. You know, like they're in Denver, they've got the best ranked defense. They said if they're averaging right now 16, if they were averaging 20 per game, the team would be something around 8-3, 9-2. So that just shows you, man. I mean, just score more than one touchdown in some of these games, you're winning because they're only averaging one touchdown per game.
That's bad.
Exactly.
College football teams could go in there and beat them.
Maybe. Who knows?
Speaking of college, hold on. One quick shout out to all you Ohio State fuck guys. Fuck y'all. Fucking spoiling the title. I can't because, I'm going to just keep dropping the F-bomb. I don't follow college football that much, but, dude, it feels so good when these entitled fans just get what they deserve, bro. Like, all these entitled fans that just absolutely, we're the best. They start pumping up their chest. They start hulking up on you. I'm like, dude, chill out. I'm like, chill out. But then they end up losing to Michigan, and then they end up their goals, bro. You don't hear nothing about the Buckeyes anymore.
Well, wait till you see when UCLA and USC move into that division. You're going to have to play Michigan and Ohio State. They're not going to have those Akrons and those freaking Toledos and teams to beat up on. So we'll see. Appalachian states. We'll see.
Yeah, you got a point there.
Exactly. Next game is the Bears playing like the Bears, starting Trevor Siemian against Randy's Jets. The Jets go to 7-4. They get back on the winning streak, and because Trevor Siemian was starting 14 for 25, the Bears had no chance in this game. Chase Claypool, that big trade acquisition, he said, you know what? I had 2 receptions last week. I'm going to get 2 more this week and get you 50 yards. How about that? So that's the best he could do right there. Mike White was the player of the game. He had a Greenie from ESPN just busting a nut on television. Randy was busting a nut in his apartment. His poor dog. 22 for 28, 315, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Mike White was a star and was winking at the camera. This guy could be just what the Jets needed. Zavanovan Knight was your leading rusher, 14 carries, 69 yards. Garrett Wilson was your leading receiver, 5 for 95. Are we buying back into the Jets with White at quarterback?
Not at all, bro. Not at all. No. Like, I'm being serious. It's almost like, dude, it's one of those where, like, just Saturday, Mike White, Jordan Love, all these guys come in unplanned for. Nobody's got a game plan for any of these guys. Don't know what they're capable of doing. Don't know anything about them other than they're a part of a team. And then when they come in, they're fresh-minded, they're fresh legs, fresh everything. You don't know what to expect. That's why they're so dangerous when they first come in. But let a good team have a full week of scouting this player out, seeing his feet work, the mechanics he's got, seeing the style of offense that they put around him and all that. Even Jeff Saturday, the way he coaches and all that. Jeff Saturday won that one game, and what has he done since? He's lost 2 straight games because ever since that one win. So no, I'm not convinced on Mike White, bro. I'm not convinced. I'm actually happy. I'm thrilled that he actually had a great game. I was praying for him to have a great game because the Minnesota Vikings host the New York Jets. I didn't want the question to be all week like, oh, who's going to be the starter, Mike White, or is it going to be Zach Wilson? I didn't want that, bro. I want the Vikings to know who their quarterback is, so that way we can game plan for a quarterback. Because if not, we were going to be like, so who do we game plan for, Zach Wilson, or do we go game plan against Mike White? Like now, it's like the Green Bay Packers right now. Like Jordan Love came in, he looked good because nobody had a game. Nobody knew what type of style of play he had.
Well, they're playing prevent on him too.
On who? On Jordan Love?
Yeah, Love. They're already. Yeah.
Yeah, the game was already over, and like he that one touchdown that he threw to Christian Watson. I mean, come on, bro, it was a simple slant, and then Christian Watson with his speed just ran around on that prevent defense, just like how he called. Mike White's on that same boat, bro. Unless I see it like consecutively for like 3, 4, 5 games, when you know the blueprint is out there on how to stop this guy, and he still beats you. That's when you win me over. But if it's like a half or whatever, I'm not sold. Mike White, he has to prove it, and what a better way to prove it to me by going into Minnesota, right? Let's see what he's got.
Yeah, and that defense is going to be tested by the Vikings. I think they're going to be tested with White and how he could. Because the only thing I'm impressed with White is, again, he's not checked down. He's not like either the coaches are not telling him to check down, and they're also letting him throw the ball. He has the confidence as an NFL quarterback. You could see it in a guy like for the Colts that we'll talk about, Matt Ryan, where he doesn't have the time, number one, and number two, when he has the time, doesn't have the confidence or trust his receivers downfield. I think that was the problem with Zach Wilson. Now, Mike White might be working with these receivers and is able to throw down the field, and that's what's going to keep him that starting job as a quarterback, because you got to be able to throw down the football field. You can't be there in like 3rd and 10, like, oh, I'm going to dump it to a receiver for a 5-yard out and see if he could get the other extra 5 or 6. throw the ball goddamn down the field. And so I think that's what the difference you see now. Can he do that against the Viking defense?
For a full game, though, for a full game, and we're gonna have the whole entire week to study what he did right. Like now that's a player we can study. But Jordan Love, on the other hand, he only had like a drive or 2 drives, and then like the game was over. But yeah, man, I'm with you on that one. We're gonna see what he's all about when the Vikings actually sit there and they study the hell out of his ass.
Yeah, because until Jordan Love got in the other day, the most footage we had on Jordan Love was his parents sitting at the very top of Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. That's all you had.
Isn't that the game where they put Jordan Love's parents behind a pole or something like that?
Yeah, it was at the very top of the stadium. Like the last row, they're all, hey, Jordan Love's parents are in attendance.
That's cold-blooded right there, man.
And it was raining. So the next game, you would think with a team falling to 5-7, losing on the road to the Washington Woke, that their season's over. No, Atlanta's right in the thick of things. In that the crappy South Division, they're right a half game behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Washington Woke honored their player Sean Taylor by taking a Ross mannequin or a metal frame of one and putting a jersey and a helmet. At least they put him in Redskin outfit, which he played in. If they would have put him in a Woke outfit, I would have been like, man, that's really fucked up. He never touched those outfits. But anyway, hats off to the Woke as they get a W. This is a hard-fought game, another like sloppy back-and-forth football game. But Marcus Mariota, 15 for 25, 174 yards, a touchdown, and interception. He's done a fabulous job at quarterback for the Falcons. Aguilar and Patterson rushed for a combined 100 yards. Let's see, Zacchaeus had 5 for 91 for the Falcons. The Washington Woke were led by Brett Favre's illegitimate son, 14 for 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Brian Robinson, 18 carries for 105 yards. And McLaurin had 4 for 48. So he didn't really tear it up, but he made the throws when he had to. Thoughts on a well-played defensive game by both teams? And who was it more impressive for, the Woke or the Falcons?
Really quick, because we missed some of his comments. She said from the last game, she said Al Wilson, talking about Zach Wilson, has been deactivated. No worries on who's starting against the Vikings. So that's a positive. I'm thrilled about that one. No sarcasm either. No sarcasm. I can look you dead in the eye. I'm really happy that it's Mike White. And then she said, oh my God, please, no, I do not even want to hear it. She must be talking about
Sean Taylor.
Yeah, Sean Taylor. She's obviously fueled by it, angered by it. Her next comment said, "No, he didn't play in a Nike uniform, so even that was wrong." So, I mean, I look at it like, they it's gonna sound wrong, but they at least did something for him. They could have at least put him in a mannequin or something, man. Like they could have, but then they had like a Nike jersey, Reebok, what do you call it? What are those things called? They're not called shorts, whatever. Those football shorts, whatever they're called. And then those were Reeboks, Nike, and then they had them in Adidas shoes. Like they had all different brands, and then black gloves that he never wore any of that. I mean, they should have done something a little bit better, but we're just gonna let that rest. I'm not gonna touch on that too much. But as far as the game itself, I think that Washington, they're doing what they had to do. Brett Favre 2.0. His numbers weren't really Brett Favre-ish. He didn't even have over 200 yards. Atlanta, they put up a fight. Like you said, Marcus Mariota, he's been playing pretty good, but like they just need somebody that's got more that can take the team more like over the top, because Marcus Mariota can keep the team at a neutral. He's like kind of like I wouldn't say a game manager, but he's like he brings electricity. He's mobile and all that, so he's fun to watch. But you need somebody that's actually going to get the job done. You can't rely on that type of quarterback. Taylor Heinicke, I would say that you can rely on him only because he knows that his time in the NFL won't be that much longer, especially with him being close to his 30s, if he's not already in his 30s. He needs to really put together, like they're what, 5-1 with him at starter. Their only losses against the Vikings. Other than that, they won every single game. Like, you got to take them serious, brother. You got to take them serious. They're one of the best teams out there. I don't care what the record is. They're going to be a handful in the playoffs. They will make the playoffs. You can book that.
Right now, because my team did what they did, which we'll get into here soon, the playoff picture has all 4 teams from the NFC East currently in the playoffs. Not in the hunt, in the playoffs. So if the playoffs were to start today, you'd at least have 2 matchups of divisions going at each other, or at least one. So, I mean, it's really, really impressive what the AFC East and the NFC East has done this year. And so hats off to them. And one last thing on Sean Taylor, only because Sonya wants to know more. He used to have, like, on his face mask, the tape, he put the black tape across, and make it sort of like a stripe it, yellow and black. So, I mean, I would have honored him to a T, even if they were going to use the whole mannequin thing. Because, again, Cardinal fans went right at him and said, look at what we did for Pat Tillman. There's other players that have had great statues put up. And, again, it's just another bad move by the woke in general. I don't say blow the franchise up. I just say give it to an owner that'll fight the NFL to get the name back, number one. And number two, get a winner back there. I mean, look, they're winning despite the ownership. Let's just put it to you that way. But I'm with you right there. Impressive win by the woke and Ron Rivera. I'm kind of pulling for them, even though I don't like what they did. I'm pulling for them in that division. So
I got to give it to them though, because since the name switch, I like their jerseys now more than I did their red ones, the burgundy ones before they changed the name change. The all black, that's nice, bro. I like that, and even the W. I know you don't like them, but I think that overall that's a nice look for them, bro. Like the all black jerseys. I don't know what their road jerseys look like, but I really like the way they look at home, like all black. That's fire, bro.
I guess, but my thing is if they were going to go with the Commanders and make a big deal out of it about it, they made a logo, but it just says, I mean, I don't know.
What is their logo, bro? What?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not trolling. I'm not trying to troll. Title happily troll.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to know, like, what is their logo? Like, what do they have in the middle of their field? Like, what is it? Is it like a big old W? Like, I'm asking a serious question, bro. Like, seriously, like, there's no sarcasm. I want, like, what is their logo? Is it just the W?
Well, you remember when the Redskins had that huge Redskin face and the logo in the middle of the field? It looked sick, and it said Redskins on both sides in the NFL. Now, remember when they were talking about potential names? It was like the Red Hawks. It was, like the fighter pilots. I forget what they were called.
Red Wolves or something like that.
Yeah, they had pretty cool names. It's like, okay, and they came out with potential logos, and I'm like, okay. If you get it off the W, I could see those working maybe, over time. I mean, it would look arena football at first, but then after a while you get used to it and you're like, okay. But now it's like you made that big hoopla about changing the name and you still got the same fucking W up there. You didn't change shit. You just barely put in like if you really have to look to see Commanders on their damn jersey. So it doesn't make any sense. I'm going to troll the shit out of them until they do something different. So,
yeah, I mean, but other than that, man, outside of that, I think that they got a really, really, really good team, bro. Like, I really like Washington. Like, going forward, I think that they got a really good shot at making some noise. They might, man, it sounds crazy, but that is one team that scares me. And right now, the way it's lining up, Minnesota will play them in the first round.
That's going to be a scary matchup, dude.
Against anybody, not just us, because of the pressure on their defense and then Taylor Heineke not being scared of anything.
Yep.
I wish they came up with something so they be the WFT team. Yeah, they would have kept that. Like, if they would have just followed it up with, like, instead of Washington football team like they had for like a year and a half or however long, they would have called it something with those same initials, because WFT sounds cool because you're almost saying WTF.
Yeah, Sonya says they want the Red Wolves and a new owner. That's what they're talking about, fans. So we'll move on to the next game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 5-6, a half game ahead of the Falcons for first place. That's still crazy to say. The Cleveland Browns, though, get the best of them, 4-7, with Watson looming as a starting quarterback potentially this week. Cleveland gets an overtime win, which they've lost a lot of games dramatically, but not this one. Tom Brady, 29-43, but he only threw for 30 yards in overtime. That's why they lost. 2 touchdowns, no picks. Rashid White, 14 for 64. Chris Godwin, 12 for 110, so good game for him. But the Browns were led by Jacoby Brissett, 23 of 37, 210 and a touchdown and a pick. The big name here, again, was Nick Chubb, 26 for 116 on the ground. Kareem Hunt did not play again much here, so that could be a sign that he's on his way out. Amari Cooper, 7 for 94, and Njoku, what a catch in the back of the end zone. I don't know if you saw that one, but he had a touchdown there late in the game. Great touchdown on 4th down to keep the game extended. But the Browns win in overtime.
Oh yeah, I definitely saw, it, especially because at the end of red zone when before Sunday Night Football starts, they go like the rundown of all the touchdowns throughout the
Yes.
game. I definitely watched that this week around. He had like a spectacular one-handed moss catch. He didn't moss somebody, but he had like a one-handed magical catch and brought it in. His body got like started like curving. No, it was nice. But yeah, it was a surprise, man. What do you do with the Buccaneers, man? How do you take them serious? They go into Cleveland and lose to the Browns, man. Like, how does that? How do you take a team like that loses to the Browns? You can't take the Browns serious as it is, but then you go into Cleveland and you lose to that team. Like, how do you take? Man, they're the leaders in the division. Like, ugh, bro. How do you sit there and how are you a Buccaneers fan or how are you a Browns fan? That's what I want to know, bro. Imagine that, bro. Imagine waking up every day like, oh man, I wonder what the Browns are gonna do. Like, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna end up disappointing you and leaving you just with your mouth open. Like, man, I can't believe I like this team. Why do people like the Browns, man? I don't get it.
I'll tell you, they're like the Buffalo Bills. They had their run, and again, they were one of the original teams. Believe it or not, they went to 10 straight championships in the 50s and early 60s. So that team had history. So you have a long line of fans that, sort of like Ohio State fans that they raised their kids to be Browns fans.
Man.
I think the tragic thing for them is they lost their team. The Ravens go on to Super Bowl success, 2 Super Bowls since, and the Browns still haven't made one. They've had so many quarterbacks there. They've been through tragedies. You think the team's going to be great, and then they fall apart. So, yeah, I don't know how you're a Browns fan. It's just I know being a Browns fan and a Bills fan, you're tough as fucking nails. That's all I got to say.
Man, no, man, you're delusional, man. You ain't got a choice. It's almost like why you. It's the only reason you pick the Browns as your favorite team is because that's the only team that came on in the regular TV. Like over here in Toledo, it's channel 36 for Fox. Or no, they're on CBS. It's channel 11 over here. I always ask Brown fans around here, like, why'd you pick the Browns? Like, is it because that's the only team that was on TV on Sundays, or what's the deal? Like, they think I'm trolling them, but I'm asking them a serious question, like, why the Browns, bro? Like, they're garbage. Every single year, they're just absolute trash. Every, 20, 25 years, they'll come out with a playoff type of team and all that, and they'll make a nice little run, but then after that, they just suck, bro. Like, I feel bad for those fans.
They really haven't had a good stretch of football since the late 80s, I would say, when they had Bernie Kosar and all those other guys.
I feel disgusted just talking about that garbage ass team, bro. I hate the Browns.
Well,
only because of some certain Browns fans on Facebook, bro. There's this one in particular where he really grinds my gears and tickles my feathers the wrong way, bro. He really irks me, man. He sits there and he talks highly about the Browns. I'm like, dude, I won 16. Were you at the celebration?
He probably was.
I guarantee he was that douchebag, man.
What's funny is you had more fans at that 0-16 parade than the Rams' supposed Super Bowl win last year. That's awesome.
And it was cold, too. I remember that. People were sitting there just freezing and shaking, and they were sitting there celebrating the 0-16 season. Like,
and you couldn't get more than 15,000 on a hot February day in the LA.
Man, that's crazy. And then, I don't know. I don't know, man. Speaking on that term, right on that topic, right there. Like, how is that possible? The Rams just won the Super Bowl, but their fans, I don't understand how you let other teams come into your stadium and just overpopulate the place. Like, they got to come up with a strategy where they give out jerseys or something like that. Like, hey, we'll give you the jersey if you swap us out for that one. This one's authentic. They got to start coming up with an idea. Give it
Chargers did that last year. Funny you mentioned.
They have to.
Yep.
They have to because that's embarrassing. Like when the Minnesota Vikings could go into LA and they could absolutely own that whole entire fan attendance. They literally have to be like, don't bring any jerseys. We're going to supply all the jerseys. They're authentic. They're stitched. Everything 100% legit. As long as you guys support the home team,
bro.
They gotta start doing something like that.
With the record being the way it is, just wait 2 weeks from now when the Rams host the Raiders. Just wait. That's going to be one-sided as hell.
Before we move on, because I know we're supposed to be doing predictions, do you think that the Raiders should have came back to LA instead of the Rams and Chargers? Do you think the Raiders, or do you think that was because they kept them away because of gangs?
I think it was two things. Yeah, it was a gang aspect. It was the fact that the Rams, Kroenke was going to build the stadium himself. He didn't ask the city for help, so LA was like, come on in. And it was just going to make money for LA all the way around. The Raiders, look what happened in Vegas. Mark Davis had to pull out 2 loans He still owes the city of Vegas a gang of cash. He owes them a bunch of favors. The city of Vegas pretty much paid for most of that stadium. He's in debt with that stadium. That wouldn't have flown here in L.A. L.A. only accepted the Rams and the Chargers because they were like no public funding, no taxes. They said come on in. So Kroenke had the pockets to do it. That's basically what it came down to. I think if Mark, even with the gangs, Mark Davis could have brought the Raiders in here if he was going to flip the bill.
You know how much imagine that would literally be like. It would be a homecoming, bro. Like the Raiders in California just makes perfect sense. In Vegas, I don't get that, bro. I don't get that. I mean, I guess because it's right there, and they needed a team in Vegas, but they should have put the Chargers out there. Honestly, they should have put the Rams and the Raiders in that stadium. That would have been nice right there. Because when the Rams and Raiders meet up, like in this game, dude, that whole stadium would have just been packed crazy. Like that would be crazy. I can only imagine you said that game's coming up, the Raiders and the Rams
in 2 weeks. Yeah.
I'll wait until you see the fight videos that come out of that one.
Oh yeah. Rams fans are stupid, and they're gonna open their mouth because they get their ass kicked by Niner fans and everybody else. So
I see those videos all the time, man.
Yep. They're just the ex-Dodger fans, basically, or they are Dodger fans. All right, so let's move on to a game that was surprisingly good, and it didn't look good for the Jaguars and the WNBA superstar, but the Jaguar, the Panthers, the ugliest quarterback in the league, Lamar Jackson, said, look, my face may be ugly, but my play looks good. 16 for 32, 254 and a touchdown. He also rushed 8 for 89 yards. Josh Oliver had 4 for 76 through the air for the Ravens. But the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, and that long, beautiful hair that he has that he puts in a ponytail for the WNBA games, he was 29 of 37, 321, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Best game as a Panther, but they couldn't run the ball for shit.
Jaguars.
The Jaguars, I'm sorry. And Zay Jones, 11 catches for 145 yards. What a great game. And at the very end, the Panthers said, screw it. And they went for 2 and got it. And a 70-yard attempt at the end came up short for the Ravens. Jaguars pull off a win. This now moves Cincinnati into a first-place tie with your Baltimore Ravens. Tough loss or what?
Before I give you thoughts on this one, someone said Vegas is going to be the place to be for a lot of sports teams. Baseball is the next move to Vegas. What do you think about that?
I agree. Oakland is on their way out. Another Oakland team is going to join Vegas.
Oh, yeah, because those stadiums up there, the baseball and the football ones were old. Huh? They were like ancient old.
They're trash, bro. They're trash. Literally, more than one time we've had leaks of human feces get onto the field at that Oakland stadium. So it's falling apart.
That's disgusting.
That is disgusting. That place is a dump. I've been up there to see an Oakland A's game. It's trash, bro.
Speaking of disgusting and feces, man, let's talk about the Jacksons. We're on the Jaguars right now, right? That game happened in Jacksonville.
We sure are, and yes, it did.
Did you catch by chance? I know it didn't get a lot of attention, but I happened to I don't know how I caught it, but on Facebook I was scrolling. And that their food concession stands got they had a lot of violations. That there was like all kinds of stuff that was wrong. They had a whole bunch of violations food wise over there in Jacksonville. But aside from that, I think that dude, that was crazy because I picked the Jaguars to win that game, and that was a lot more scoring than I was anticipating. I felt strong about that game because I felt like, man, Baltimore hasn't been living up to like even what the record is. I felt like Jacksonville, same thing with Carolina, bro. Like it's getting to that point of the year where that team is going to be scary because positions need to be filled for next year. And these players, even if they don't work out with this team, they're going to play. They're going to ball out so that way they can get a contract somewhere else. So I'm holding that thought right there when I'm making predictions right there. But Baltimore is crazy. And then that one touchdown by Marvin Jones Jr., that one where he only got one leg and one knee in, and they still gave that a touchdown. And then what happened with Hunter Henry, it's kind of like, what's a catch? What's a possession? Like, what's the NFL doing? Like, I don't understand, bro. Like, when you think it's a catch, it's not a catch. And when it's not a catch, it is a catch. It's just like, man, dude, what is this? What am I watching now, man? But Baltimore had a lead of 19-10. I don't understand how Baltimore. I still to this point. I watched it. I watched most of that comeback. Like I don't understand how Baltimore lost to Jacksonville to begin with, bro. It just doesn't make any sense. They're the better team, better roster, Papa John's, but there you go. It just doesn't make any sense, bro. Like Lamar Jackson, is he still MVP worthy? Is he still big contract money? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I'm kind of seeing the fact that he might be on his way out, but I think Harbaugh would be stupid to let him go. He's married to him. This game was weird because again, the Ravens got that touchdown plus a 2-point to go up 8 or whatever or 7. They looked like they had this game under control, and kudos to the Jaguars going for the 2, saying screw it, we got nothing to lose, and they beat a good team, and they kind of effed them over. That's a tough loss, and again, that was a game that we all penciled, except for you.
Yep. I'll toot my own heart on that one. I'll pump in my chest on that. I picked the Jaguars over the Ravens, baby. Let's go.
Yeah,
and
you were the only
won.
Everyone else was picking the Jags to lose last week. So kudos to you, man.
Not me.
There you go. So I think this is a huge loss. Lamar's not living up to the hype, like you said. So I don't think he's going to get that $250 million contract. And by the way, if you saw some fans were trolling him, and he came back and told the fan to suck a dick. So, I mean,
I didn't see that. But when I was making a delivery, because I was making a delivery and they had ESPN on the outside, right? So because in the restaurant, they don't want me to go in through like where the customers are eating. So I had to like wheel around. Yeah, I've been doing it for a while. It doesn't bother me, but they had the TV on. And then that, I happened to catch that Lamar Jackson deleted his tweet for vulgar language, and I was like, "What the hell did he do?" And I couldn't find it anywhere. But that's what it was. That's crazy that he said that.
Yeah, I believe. You can't have your NFL quarterback is a leader in so many ways, and you can't be referring to fans to suck a dick and everything else like that. I mean, you're going to have your troll fans, but that's going to open up a can of worms. That thing got retweeted so many times. You got a lot of people, screenshotting it, stuff like that, and it's his official page. So I mean, look, a quarterback's got to be strong-minded, and that's a weak-minded move.
I can't believe he doesn't have a burner account, bro. Like, you need a burner. If I was Lamar Jackson, if I was that stature of an athlete celebrity, I would have a fake account. I'd be like, I'd pay somebody to run Lamar Jackson 8 whatever account on Twitter. I'd be like, I don't want nothing to do with them because I'm gonna get into it with some fans or whoever. And then I just have a burner account where only my immediate family and friends know about it, but nobody else knows about it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the way I would keep it. I would not associate myself with all those trolls, bro. That's all Twitter is. It's nothing but trolls. And I see the chat. I see let's see, Pack is in the building. He said, like the stream. Sonia said yes. She heard about the 129 health violations at Jacksonville. See, that's disgusting, bro. That's like where people go to eat. And when you're at the game, you're gonna have a beer or two or whatever, and you're gonna want to eat some food, and it's just disgusting, bro. Like, you're paying like $20 for a little pizza. I paid for a pizza at Ford Field. That's disgusting. And then Packer said, to be fair, Ravens' 4 losses were all by 4 or fewer points. But at the same time, if they want to be taken serious, they've got to win all those games, bro. Like, you can't have all these close games. Same thing could be said about the Minnesota Vikings last year. We had all these 1 to 7 point losses like 6 times last year. Let me see. The healthier the food, I am sure. He told them to eat a glizzy hot one. Glizzy hot one, he said. And then he said a glizzy hot. The hell? Well, what's that about, Pack? No, but seriously, bro, like, I lost track because I'm reading all these comments. But yeah, Lamar Jackson, bro, I don't know, bro. Like, I think he's trying to force his way out of Baltimore, honestly, because I saw a video of him earlier where he liked the post where he was in a Miami Dolphins jersey. I think and then they also said that he's from the area, so I think he's trying to force his way out. He's not having the type of year that he's been having the last few years because I don't think he wants to get injured. I think that's what he's honestly doing.
I don't know about that because he's still running the ball way too much for my liking. If he's throwing the ball for a lot, like if he's throwing the ball like Tua, then I would say it. But I don't think Tua's going anywhere in Miami, so that's a pipe dream for him. Maybe he plays in Jacksonville next year. Maybe he plays in, I doubt that with a WNBA star there, but maybe New York, like it's been suggested by a few fans on here. So we'll see. But we're gonna move on to a game that was that broke my heart, and I really don't want to talk about. But this is a game again. There's a couple games that you could look back on a season when your team doesn't make the playoffs and you say that was one of them. And this one this week against the Raiders was a tough one to fucking swallow as a Seahawks fan. Seahawks, this reminded me, that run by Jacobs at the end reminded me of Bo Jackson breaking it and running into the tunnel. He was gone. As soon as he got through the secondary, it was gone, bro. I mean, they weren't – that first play after they punted back to the Raiders – it looked like they weren't even ready, bro. I mean, it was the worst defense I've seen all day, and that's saying something. This game reminded me of the first 4 games of the season, or 5, where Seattle couldn't stop anybody. And
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, in this game, Derek Carr, his first pass was picked, and it led to a touchdown. And I thought we were off to a great start, but they let him go right back down the field. He went 25 of 36. Captain Eyeliner, Mr. Emo himself, threw for just under 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. But Josh Jacobs, Bo Jackson reincarnated, 33 carries, 229, 2 touchdowns, and then you follow that up with 74 yards on the ground or through the air. He had over 300 yards of offense by himself. And Devontae Adams, a guy I was really scared about in this game, really had a pedestrian game, 7 for 74. He only got catches because we played 10 yards off of him, so he threw those quick little 5-yard, 6-yard slants to extend first downs. And that was frustrating, too, because you look at the other receivers they had out there, and we were playing man-to-man, 2 yards off, bump and run, and then for some reason, even with safety help over the top, we're playing 10 yards off the ball, and Derek Carr was picking us apart. I was really pissed at the Seahawks defense. Kudos to the Raiders offensive coordinator for picking us apart. Geno Smith did not. And again, you had stupid 12s, because there's 2 different kinds of Seahawk fans. There you have the 12s and you have Seahawk fans. And the Seahawk fans are more logical. 12s are reactionary and stupid. And they basically said, oh, Geno lost the game. Now, to be fair, Geno is not good in 2-minute drills. So his 2-minute drills in the overtime wasn't good. But he played a good enough game. You score 34 points, you should win the fucking game. You gave up 40. That's on the defense. 27 of 37, 328, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Here's the big problem for Seattle. The time of possession was big time in the Raiders' favor because Kenneth Walker only had 14 carries for 26 yards.
With the touchdown.
Yeah,
right?
and that's not good. Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns, but that's because the offense got him down there via pass. Metcalf was 11 for 90. Seahawks lose in fucking overtime. This game and the Saints game are going to keep them out of the playoffs, in my opinion.
Just like that, the 49ers are right there, huh? They're right back on top. But the Seahawks don't have anything to blame but themselves, right? Like, you can't get mad at the 49ers for doing what they're doing. That's what every team wants to do, is win, right? Like, you can't get – that's almost like if the Vikings gave up the lead, the NFC North, to the Packers, because the Packers, all they were doing was winning, and then here's Minnesota losing to Taysom Hill and then losing to an underachieving team like the Raiders. Like, you can't get mad at anything but the Seahawks. The Seahawks were on top of that division. I thought they were going to win the division, but it just seems like they overlooked teams and all that. Bro, it's just like, what do you do at this point? Like, all you got to do – now you can't even trust them to win games that you think that they would win.
Well, it's been a roller coaster season for us, real quick, because you have a team that wasn't supposed to compete, and then they show that they're gonna compete, and then you lose to teams like the Falcons, you lose to the Saints, you lose to the Raiders, and it's like, fuck, dude, what are we? Are we a good team? Are we on the up and up? I mean, how good is Geno? How good is the defense? They keep showing at times they could play with the big boys, but then they lose to the mediocre ones.
Yeah, you hate when your team does that. I know Minnesota used to do that to me a lot. This year is just different. They're just actually taking care of business. But I've been on that boat before, that boat of emotions, man, where you just get a tidal wave of nothing but victories and you're catching all the wins, and then next thing you know, you just get blown over and you just roll around in the mud, catching all the L's and all that. It's a week-to-week thing with Seattle, man. You guys, man, you called out the 3 games. I forgot that they lost to Atlanta. Had they beaten Atlanta, New Orleans, and the Raiders, and then that week 2 game against the 49ers too, bro, like, that's 4 wins you guys should have easily had, man.
No, I will say about that Niner game, they controlled us from start to finish in that game. We had a chance to be in the game, but I chalked that one up as a loss. I think we should have 3 more wins. I think we should be sitting there at 9-2. You know,
I agree. That stupid run by Taysom Hill, bro. Like I said, that's gonna be, when you think of the Seahawks season in 2022. I'm always think of that Taysom Hill run. Not like no disrespect to you, but that one run, bro. Like, you guys had the Saints beat in that game.
Well, look how we lost, bro. The 3 games we lost, Cordell Patterson went off for a career game. Freaking Taysom Hill, career game. Josh Jacobs, career game. Those are only losses that we had because the defense couldn't tackle and those guys just went off.
It is what it is, bro. I guess it's just going to be that type of season. Do you expect them to make the playoffs?
No, not at this point, because
you know what, bro? Throw it back. Not throwback Thursday, not throwback anything. It's just a throwback, simple throwback. Remember when me and you, we used to troll each other?
Oh yeah, Yeah.
Remember all the times where I was like, I hope Seattle wins as many games but not make the playoffs because they're going to end up like picking number 15. That's what they're doing, man. They're going to end up screwing themselves over now, bro. It's getting to the point where they're going to be like, they're going to fall right there in the anywhere from the 13 to like the 17 pick category in the first round. It's going to be like, you're going to get all the like mid players. You're not going to get the best players. They need to get in the top 5, but then they get Denver, right? The Denver pick.
That's the only thing that's going to save us. I was going to say is Denver's going to make up for that. But
right now, where's Denver picking? Are they what you guys got their pick? Do you know? It's the top 5, top 10?
They're picking either 5th or 4th, and we have their 1st and 2nd round picks.
Jeez, bro, you can flip those 2 picks. You can flip all 3 picks. Your guys' actual first round pick, Denver's first round pick, that second round pick that you guys got in the draft in a trade last year for Wilson. Trade all of that for the number 1 overall pick and get your guy for the future, bro. Like that's awesome right there. Like, and then you can sit back and just chill for a whole year after with Geno Smith, bro, and then you build a whole entire team in the next offseason for that quarterback. Man, the Seahawks are in good shape if they do it that way.
I would build up that defensive line. I would get the most hardcore defensive pass rushers you could possibly get right now, because that's what we're lagging. We had no pass rush in this game either.
You guys have been struggling with pass rushers. I remember when you guys got Jadeveon Clowney. Like you guys, I remember that there was like a Cloud9 party over there in Seattle. Like all the 12s were coming out and all that. You guys were just raving about it. And then you guys got Carlos Dunlap to go with that, and none of that worked out for you guys.
Well, Dunlap had the 1 year where he was having a career year, but it was like, that was. He was having an average year with us, but it was career for us because we had no pass rush. So,
and to think you guys had Michael Bennett and all those guys with the Legion of Boom, how time flies up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That'll move us on to the next games. I'm tired of talking about my underperforming Seahawks. The Chargers possibly saved their season against your boy and the sunglasses Cliff Kingsbury. There's all kinds of problems in Cardinal land. They're talking about firing Kingsbury. What's his name? The midget is being a mental midget. He's having more fun playing Call of Duty than playing football. He called out the staff as the Chargers came back with a late heroics and got the 2-point to stun Arizona. And by the way, the thing that most impressed me in this game was not the score and not how the Chargers won, but how many goddamn fans were in attendance that were Charger fans. There was more there in Arizona than there are at usual SoFi. I didn't know there was that many Arizona fans over there that were Chargers.
You're saying that there was more Charger fans in Arizona than actual Cardinal fans?
Exactly. There was more.
You want to know? You want to know what that comes from, bro? It's something different. It's not about like because of the like. I'm gonna just tell you exactly what it is. Because all LA fans, like all those diehard Chargers fans that were fans of the San Diego Chargers, and then like now they're with the LA Chargers or whatever. Those fans were forced to move out of state because of how expensive California has gotten, and especially right there in the area, like where they're at, bro. Like it's crazy expensive. I don't know how much like a gallon of milk is over there in LA right now, but it's because they were forced like Arizona, Nevada, and then Oregon, like those others, and even Texas. Like those states all have like former Californians, bro. Like California's lost a lot of population because of how expensive it is, and that's where all those fans came from in Arizona.
I agree. I mean, look over here, it's $4.69 for a gallon. So,
that's like a gallon of gas.
Yeah. Justin Herbert, 35 of 47, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He also was your leading rusher. That's what kept this game close. DeAndre Carter, 7 for 73. Josh Palmer, another nice game for the Chargers. Let's move up here. Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray was 18 for 29, 191 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. James Conner was 25 for 120 yards on the ground, and Hopkins 4 for 87. Blow the damn team up, right?
Yeah. I mean, neither one of these teams actually scares me, bro. I don't care what anybody says about the Chargers. I think that Brandon Staley's got to go. You got to get a more serious coach and build that team from there. They got the roster, bro. They got a roster. So does Denver. It's crazy. Both those teams are where they are right now. The Arizona Cardinals, like you just said, below that whole entire team up. Get rid of Cliff Kingsbury and see if anybody would be dumb enough to trade for Kyler Murray, a team that needs a quarterback like the Giants. And bro, I would offer Kyler Murray to the New York Giants. I'd be like, look, man, he's mobile. You can work with mobile quarterbacks, Brian Daboll. Give us like I don't know. We'll even take a set. We'll take care of like I don't know how much of that cap they want to take care of, but you guys need a mobile quarterback, and this guy's shown that he's in the MVP conversation a year ago. It's just we're having a bad year, so take him. So I think they need to get rid of Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, and then just start it all over because it's not working.
I agree. And, not much to say on this one other than, like I said, the Chargers stay in the playoff hunt with that big victory. Had they lost that one, they'd be out of it like with the Cardinals. That'll move us on to the Saints and the 49ers. These next two games really shocked me as far as not, being crazy good games, but the scores being the way they were. I thought these were going to be two gigantic blowouts, but kudos to the Saints who, even though they're 4-8, are still alive. 2 games back of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or a game and a half back. The Niners improved to 7-4. They move into sole possession of first place. But an unimpressive 13-0 win over the Saints because, again, shout out to their defense. Their defense kept Andy Dalton in the game, although he sucked ass, 18 for 29, 204. They had no ground game to speak of. Dalton was 4 for 21. That's your leading rusher. The Niners offensively didn't do much themselves, although Garoppolo was 26 of 37, 222 and a touchdown. They couldn't run the ball either. And your leading receiver was Brian Ayuk. This game was pretty surprising, only 13-0.
It was surprising because the Saints, like you never expect any team's going to get shut out, at least a field goal, right? And the Saints were in red zone. They were in there. And I remember the one highlight that they showed on the red zone channel, Alvin Kamara. It looked like he got a dump off like a little screen, and then he got completely shut down right there, right before and he even fumbled. Like they snapped the ball out of his hands, they slapped it out, and the ball went in the air, and then it was a recovered fumble by the 49ers. They dominated the Saints, bro. Like that's all you can say is that. And Michael Thomas, yet again, misses another game after that huge contract. Yeah, I'm on board. Remember, you asked, I want to say like a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, blow the Saints up.
Yeah,
it's time to start it all over, bro. Sean, what you call it? Sean Payton. He knew that this was coming. That's why he left early. He was like, dude, I know this team's not that good no more, so I'm gonna leave. Drew Brees isn't here to save my ass anymore, so I'm gonna end up leaving this to somebody else. And this is not working, bro. Michael Thomas, huge contract, huge disappointment. Everybody's forgotten about him. The only bright spot on for the Saints is Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave. Outside of that, there's nothing to really talk about for the Saints. Nothing, bro. I can't find anything.
Well, Kamara would probably be gone. Let me ask you this question. If you're the Saints coach and you're down, 10-0 at halftime to the 49ers, do you say, okay, Dalton's given us nothing, do you swallow your pride and give it to Jameis? Because obviously if you give it to Jameis the ball in the second half, the Niners weren't prepared for him.
Yep.
Do you think he rallies the team?
I think so. And even if they don't win, it shows like signs of positivity. I mean, they were Andy Dalton, bro. You know what you're going to get out of them. I think that he was timid with that pressure that the 49ers were bringing in. We all know that the 49ers have one of the toughest front sevens. That's why I'm scared to play them in the playoffs for the Vikings. I'm terrified of the 49ers.
Yep.
Yeah, I would have definitely put Jameis Winston in. I mean, you're still in the division race. That's amazing, bro. That's crazy to think. That's reminding me of the 2000. Let me get the year right. 2010 Seahawks. Beastquake.
Yep.
You guys were 7-9, hosting the New Orleans Saints.
The Super Bowl champions, and we knocked them off.
Knocked them out. I remember I was working at Veranda Center at the time, and I remember we were closing the store down, and we had that game on all the TVs. And next thing you know, we're sitting there counting the money down because we're ready to go home and to watch the end of the Seahawks Saints game. Next thing you know, you just see Marshawn Lynch. I just glance up and he's busting a move. I'm like, all right, they're about to stop him. Next thing you know, he just guns it. I'm like, what the hell? And then the crowd just goes crazy. I'm like, oh, the Saints are in trouble.
I remember messaging you. I was trolling the shit out of you that game, man. That was great.
Oh, those were fun times, man. The trolling, those were some great times, man. Especially when the Seahawks lost to the Falcons in that second round game, and then the Falcons go on and lose to the 49ers. I was like, ooh, it's time to troll. I was like, not only did the Falcons hook the Niners up, but they also laid down for the 49ers.
It was the worst case scenario because I felt that year we would have beat them in the championship year.
I think so. Yeah, because fast forward a year, you guys did just that.
Yep, and it was crazy because one thing I don't miss about our trolling, because it was funny, we did a lot of crazy shit to each other, but I don't miss the 2:00 in the morning phone calls. I don't miss those.
Oh yeah, especially when it's like 6 o'clock over here, but 3 o'clock over there. I call you up and like, hey, just remind the Seahawks who they play next week. I just had come up with something random like that just to wake you up, just to troll you.
I'm like, you asshole. My girl at the time was thinking thinking I was getting calls from chicks. I'm like, look, it's just fucking Carlos again.
She would get mad at me.
Let's move on to another team that sucks ass, and that's the LA Rams. They are 3-8. They're pretty much stick a fork in them. The best highlight that came out of this was the genius getting smacked by that player in the face. That was freaking awesome. Kansas City rolls on to a 9-2 record. This game was boring as shit. I didn't watch any of it. Bryce Perkins was the quarterback.
How dare you trash Fox's game of the week? Did you see the commercials building up to that game where Aaron Andrews and those douchebags are sitting around the couch like, it's Patrick Mahomes' must-see TV, and the Rams, they're the Super Bowl champs. It's going to be an exciting game. I was like, no, it's not. It's not going to be exciting. I'd rather take a nap than watch that boring-ass game.
The only thing that was surprising to me outside of McVay taking one to the face, power right in the kisser, was the fact that the Chiefs didn't put up 40. They should have scored more than just 26, but it is what it is.
I think the Chiefs were bored themselves, man.
Yep. Bryce Perkins is a running back glorified. He threw for only 100 yards, but he rushed for 44. Boring. Patrick Mahomes, 27, 40, 42, 320, blah, 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 blah. They win. Pacheco, 22 of 16. This was a preseason game, bro. This did not feel like an NFL regular season game. Too easy for the Chiefs in this one.
Yeah, I'm getting sleepy thinking about that game, man. We should just move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on to the best team supposedly in the NFL. Philadelphia Eagles, 10-1. I still have not bought into them. They win a 40-33, surprisingly good football game against the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers, though, exits stage left. Is it his final game? Are they going to shut him down? Let's see what happens. He went 11 of 16, 2 touchdowns, 2 stupid picks, though. Jordan Love, 6 of 9 and a touchdown. A.J. Dixon on the ground was pretty good. Christian Watson continues to be a thrown-to receiver, 4 for 110. And the Eagles, Jalen Hurts had a ho-hum game, but, on the ground it was Hurts, 17 for 157. Mike Sanders, 21 for 143. They almost had 300 yards rushing by them with the 4 running backs, including quarterback. Eagles, are you impressed?
Dude, yeah. At this point, you got to give it to them. I bought into them. I think that they're a real team. I think that now they've just they play down to their opponents at this point in time. But we've seen this team playing good, and then we've seen them get into slugfest. And it's just like right when you think that this team is figured out, they pull away at the end. The Eagles, I think that they are going to make it as far as the NFC Championship game. But it's a Super Bowl. That's another story. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if they did. But as far as the Packers go, bro, as far as they go, I don't know what to do. Oh yeah, I was going to say, because you brought up Aaron Rodgers as in the last game. No, he's doing the same thing as Russell Wilson at this point, bro. He went on a Pat McAfee show today, and he said that X-rays came back negative, so he's looking forward to playing. So he's taking snaps away from Jordan Love, and all you can do is feel bad for Jordan Love, because Jordan Love actually looked pretty decent. But then again, a lot of that, like I said earlier in the show, how much of that is from not having, like you said, that they were playing prevent defense against the Packers when Jordan Love came in. So all Jordan Love was doing was just sitting there doing these little dump off passes, like these little 5 to 10 yard little completions, and the receivers had all the room in the world. So I don't really take too much of that into the next game. But like I said earlier, give me about like 5 or 6 games of actual footage of a team studying this player. And if he's still as good, then I'll buy into him fully. But as a second half quarterback, where he only played in 2 or 3 drives, I don't buy into him much of anything, bro. It was like you said, prevent defense. Who's not going to score on that in the NFL? Yeah. And then the Packers are just a mess, bro. Like defense is like it's just a disaster over there in Green Bay, bro. But Philadelphia, yeah, I have bought into them, bro. I'm done down them, bro. They just win. All they're doing is win. So somebody knocks them out, blows them out. Like they're number one in my eyes, and I'm a Viking fan. They're number one in my eyes in the NFC.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens as we move closer to the playoffs. And 2 teams that won't be moving closer to the playoffs is the Pittsburgh Steelers Monday night game against the Indianapolis Colts in Indy. Steelers fall to 4-7. Colts go to 4-7. I know you're not warm on Jeff Saturday, but I felt he got the most out of this team. They have looked better, although they're 1-2. But they blew it in the fourth quarter, and I think a lot of that's on Matt Ryan. He does not – I talked about this earlier. He does not have the confidence down the field. He's captain check down, even though they got Jonathan Taylor up to 86 yards again, another solid game for him. Jelani Woods had 8 catches for 98 yards for the Colts. The Steelers' Kenny Pickett, though, had a very efficient game, 20 of 28. He's getting better every week. 174 yards through the air. Snell and Harris rushed for a combined 100 yards along with Pickett. So the Steelers did just enough. They went kind of quiet in the second half. Kudos to the Colts, but they got the touchdown when they needed it, and then the Colts couldn't. Thoughts on this mediocre game?
Hey, that's exactly it. That's exactly it, bro. Everything you said, bro. I didn't watch any part of this of that game at all. Like I was like, dude, it's just like how much interest do you have in two teams that aren't going to do anything this year? It's just like unless you're a diehard fan of either one of them teams, I can't see myself or anybody else wanting to sit there and be like, oh boy, the Colts and the Steelers are playing. Like I don't know how much of that game you watched, but I didn't watch much of anything. I just go based off everything you just said, bro. I'm going to just keep it 100% with you. I honestly didn't have any interest in that game, and I honestly don't care who won that game.
Okay. Well, then we'll just move on to the next one right here.
Dude, that's terrible. That's a terrible take by me. I apologize. But, hey, if you guys want honesty, bro, my record speaks for itself, bro. Like, I know football.
Yeah,
like I'm 103 wins, 77 losses at one time. I do know a little bit about football, and I just know to stay away from a snooze fest like that, bro. I'll tell you what I did instead of watching Monday Night Football. I watched Raw, bro. I watched wrestling instead of Monday Night Football. That says what I think about that game.
Hey, it is what it is, man. I mean, if they can't tickle your fancy, then what the fuck, right?
Yeah, that game was just bro. Then the quarterbacks at the Matt Ryan versus Pickett, man. I can't do it. Even in the off season, I like months away from the football season. I don't think I'd be able to bear that game, bro. The Steelers and the Colts with those two rosters, I can't do it, man.
Yeah, Colts are on to another quarterback. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
So let's go through the standings real quick before we end out the show because we'll do the predictions tomorrow. The Dolphins are 8-3. They've won 5 in a row. They're in first place, percentage points ahead of the Buffalo Bills, who've won 2 in a row. They are 8-3. The Jets are 7-4, a game back of the two teams. The Patriots are 6-5. So 4 AFC East teams are above 500 as we currently speak. The Chiefs are 9-2. They have won 5 straight. The Chargers are in second, 6-5. The Ravens are 7-4. The Bengals are 7-4, tied for first place in the North. The Titans are 7-4, and the rest of the 3 teams, Colts, Jaguars, and Texans, don't matter. As far as the playoff, if they were to start today, the Dolphins, Bills, Jets would be in, along with the Chiefs, Ravens. Actually, no, the Jets would be out. It would be Dolphins, Bills, Chiefs, Ravens, Bengals, and Titans, with the Jets and Chargers and Patriots on the outside looking in. In the NFC, we would have a mess. The Eagles are 10-1. The Cowboys are 8-3. The Giants are 7-4. The Woke are 7-5. The Seahawks or the Niners are 7-4. The Seahawks are 6-5. Vikings are 9-2. Lions, well, they don't matter. And the Buccaneers are 5-6. So what you would have in the postseason right now is the entire NFC East. You'd have the Niners, you'd have the Vikings, and the Buccaneers, and everyone else on the outside looking in. So, thoughts on the postseason right now as we speak?
It scares me thinking that if it was to start next week or this upcoming week, the Vikings would be lined up against Washington. But I got confidence that Minnesota would get to Taylor Heineke and force him to do another bad interception. So, I'm a little nervous, but not all the way nervous. I think that the Vikings would win that game. But as far as like all the other teams and the entire NFC East in the playoffs, that's insane. That's crazy to think because the whole entire NFC South is absolute ass fest. The 49ers and the Seahawks still got a chance. Both teams making the playoffs, but that's kind of like slim pickings right there. NFC North, nobody else but Minnesota is going to be there. So, I mean, unless Seattle can pull through and make the playoffs, it's going to stay as is.
I agree. It's going to be awesome. I mean, every one of these games now from this point on, it matters big time. I mean, it matters every week, but just moving forward, dude, I mean, these games are all going to, move us into the playoffs one way or another. So we'll see how it goes. But any final thoughts on today's show?
None. I'm going to just give you guys an update on the records. I know I said my record a few minutes ago when I was trolling Colts and Steelers fans, but my record is 103 wins, 77 losses, and 1 tie. So, I mean, we're looking pretty damn good. So stay tuned, but Make sure you guys catch us tomorrow. We are high IQ football fans. I'm gonna just.
Hello? I think we lost it. Fuck. Let's doing it again. I gotta see if everyone's still on here because I might have lost Carlos. The woke got him. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. You froze up. You should have seen the way you looked. You were like,
Yeah, I'm looking right now. I'm like, this son of a bitch program. Anyway, I was just gonna say before he ended, we got some really good games coming up here.
the woke got him. The woke got you.
Yeah, check out these games we have for this week. Well, all these have playoff implications, just about. Well, not really all of them, but some of them do. You got the Bills, Patriots. You have the Jets, Vikings, Titans, Eagles, woke Giants, Dolphins, 49ers. Let's see. You got no, that one doesn't really count there either. You got Chiefs, Bengals, and you got Saints, Buccaneers. So you got some good teams and good games setting up for Week 13. We'll get into all of that tomorrow for the prediction show.
Looking forward to it, man. We're getting really, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. And Sonia, I don't know if you caught any of what I said when Todd was froze up or when the connection got lost, but I just got one thing to say to you. Washington sucks.
All right. So for everyone here on Out of Bounds, for Todd Fox and Rick Davis.
Bitch.